Hi, I'm Kelly from Kelly J Jewellery. Today I'll be showing you how to make this cute ring. I've used a 7mm cubic zirconia with a pointy back. You can use a flat back if you prefer. So I'll put a list of everything you'll need to make this in the description below. So let's get started. To make this ring you'll need 0.8mm wire, which is 20 gauge, and I've cut 3 lengths at 10 inches, which is 25 centimeters. I've got 0.25mm wire, so I'm going for the slightly thinner one, that's 30 gauge. I usually use 0.315 28 gauge, so feel free to jump onto that one if you want. I've wound 300 centimeters onto my bobbin. This is a Bobeeze bobbin by Beadsmith. You just pop the wire around there, wind the wire around there, and then that sits down by your side as you're working. It just makes it easier. We're working with the longer lengths. I'm using a pointy back stone today, so you need a little stone. You can have pointy back or flat back. It's entirely up to you. The pointy back sits a little bit better because it presses into the weave, but it's entirely up to you. So mine is slightly bigger than what I'd normally use, that's 7mm. So anything that kind of size will do. What else have I got? So tools, I've got my pliers, round nose, my cutters, nylon pliers. If you don't have nylon pliers, don't worry. I just like having these handy for straightening the wires, flattening out all the weaves. All my tools are Tronex. I've put a list of all of this below if I've gone a bit quick and you've missed anything, so everything is written down there in the description. Okay, so to get the band right, to get the size right, you're going to need a mandrel. Find the size that you want, and you're going to need some tape or a bit of string. You can always put some string around here because we're measuring how big that size is, and then put a little mark on it and then measure how long the string is. So I'm getting about 6 centimeters. Say if I make a size 8, so I've got 6 centimeters. The middle piece is going to be about 1 centimeter. If you've watched my other rings, I say this at the beginning of all of them. So my band is going to be 5 centimeters long. So that's a rough guess. That's what we're going to start with. We make 5 centimeters, and you can skip on if you've heard me say this lots of times before. So yeah, we measure the 5, we get it round the mandrel, and we keep going back to this throughout and keep checking the size, and that's the only way you're going to, keep it the size that you want. So you're going to need a mandrel and some of that floppy tape. Next, so position your thumb centrally on your wires. So cut your wires to the length that I have. Put your thumb centrally. You've worked out your band size. So mine is 5. Position that where your thumb is, and we're going to start here. So that when your weave is complete, it sits centrally on those wires. To make it a bit easier for yourself, measure from there now to the end of your wires. So what's mine? 11. Because as you're weaving, that weave tends to slide that way. I tend to push it along with this hand a bit when I'm compressing my weave. So measuring that bit, you can, keep checking throughout to make sure it's in the right place. So I've got an interesting weave for you. I like to try and keep it interesting by putting a different weave on every time. My memory isn't very good, so I may give you the same one twice every now and then. I think that's down to my age. So wrap 3 times around your bottom wire. Then we'll go around the bottom 2. Come up between those 2. We go around the top 2 wires. Come up between those 2. Hold on, do we? No. So we go around the top 2 wires, and then we go around all 3. Then we go around come up between the top 2. Then we go 3 wraps around that top wire. Three times, not 4. There we go. Go around all 3. Come up between the bottom 2. Then we go around the top 2 and we go around the bottom 2 wires. You can do any weave you like for your band, anything at all. Just do it for that length that we worked out earlier. So then we wrap 3 times around the bottom wire. Take your wire up the back, over the top, and we go 3 times around that top wire. Hold on. I keep bending my wires here. Right, push it together. So now we do that cute little weave upside down. So we come up between the bottom 2, we go around the top 2 wires, come around the bottom 2, we go around all 3, we go 3 times around that bottom wire, around all 3, come up between, no you don't, you go around the bottom 2, come up between and go around the top 2. And we go 3 times around that top wire. 3, like that. Push it together. And that's our weave. So that's quite nice. So we're going to repeat that. Shall I draw it to show you how I remember it? Hold on. So let me try and show you the weave that I'm going to do. This is when I draw it down, that's how I see it better in my head. So if I just show you what it looks like. Okay, so I'm drawing this on my tablet and I'm left-handed, so it's a bit awkward. Because I am awkward. So we do 3 wraps around the bottom wire. And then we go around the bottom 2, top 2, then we go around all 3, 3 wraps around the top wire, then we go around all 3, top 2, bottom 2, why does it keep moving over, 3 wraps around the bottom wire. Then we do the whole thing upside down, so you take the wire up the back, and we go 3 wraps around the top wire, top 2, bottom 2, all 3, 3 wraps around the bottom wire, all 3, bottom 2, top 2, 3 wraps around the top wire. Then you take the wire down the back and you go 3 wraps around the bottom wire, and we repeat that again. Does that make a bit more sense drawn down? That's how I worked it out in the first place. You don't have to do this weave, you can do any weave you want, honestly. So do your measured amount of that weave, whatever weave you're doing, and we'll jump back. So I've done 5 centimetres of that weave. And you're going to make sure it's pretty central on your wires. I like to flatten my weave down with my pliers because it makes it all just nice and flat. I really like that look. So make sure it's all pressed together. Make sure it's all nice and flat. If you have persisted with that weave, well done. I really like how it looks. We'll cut the weaving wire from the beginning. We'll leave the other end for now. So next we need to wrap it around the mandrel. So if you look at your weave, you've got a definite right side and a wrong side, and they do look very different. So when you put it around your mandrel, make sure you've got the right side facing you and the wrong side goes against the mandrel. So bring your weave around your mandrel, and I've just noticed, oh Gracie's snoring ever so loud, if you bring your outer wires out at this point, it just makes it a bit easier in a minute. You want your outer wires coming out, bring it together, and you want about, it's about 1 centimetre in that gap there. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull these wires down. So make sure you've got your centimetre gap first, so you can add or take weave repeats. I've got about 1 centimetre. If you do need your weave to be a little bit longer, now's the time to add a few extra repeats on there. We're going to take the outer wires out. So holding it firmly around, every time I get closer to the camera it seems to move away. Hold it nice and tightly around the mandrel. Take your wires out and push them against the mandrel so you're pushing them down. You want them to come in quite, you want quite a bend on that so they're not, like it's like a diamond shape, but you don't want your joining bits to be up here. You don't want it too big and you don't want it too small. So try and get a nice even shape so your outer wires come down and up, and then those middle wires, they just go back over the band. We'll deal with those later. So we're going to focus on these 4 inner wires at the moment. So remove the mandrel for now. Just going to push those wires right down, the middle ones. So they're out the way. And we're going to weave just across these 2 wires. So this ring is a bit similar to my last one, but the finished result is quite different. So they start off, a few of mine start off the same and then they kind of take different paths. So we're going to weave just across these 2 wires. We're going to do like a bit of a bale weave. So we go over, hold on a minute, we go over that top wire, push it down, and then we'll go around that wire again a couple of times, push it down, then we come over this bottom wire, push it down, then we go around again a couple of times, and that's our repeat. Over the top wire, push it down, go around a couple of times, push it down, over the bottom wire, and another couple of times. And then as you go, the further you go up here, your wires will start trying to overlap each other. Add more wraps in the middle. So this time I'm going to go 3 times around that wire instead of 2. And then I'll come down and I'll go 3 times around that one. And you can go 4 times as well if you want, but we'll just do a few more repeats of that weave. So I've done another couple of repeats and I went 4 times around for that last one just to space it out a bit better. So next, with this weaving wire, leave about 6 inches attached. So cut that and you're leaving a little bit on there. Turn it around and we're going to do the same thing on this side. So we'll wrap 3 times around that bottom wire to attach. Hold on. Slide it all the way along. You want to hold on to your tail there. And then we do the same thing. So you go over, push it down, wrap twice, and do the same as what you did on the other side. Keep pushing it down between each one. So I did another couple of repeats of that, and the wires, they kept trying to overlap each other there at the end. So you just have to add a few more wraps in between. I'm going to cut that little tail end off from the beginning. And make sure that you always press those little cut ends down with your pliers. You don't want any sharp bits. So this is going to come together. So we're going to take this wire, again leave that 6 inches attached, and we'll cut that. So we're going to attach these wires now top and bottom. So get it back on your mandrel and make sure, hold on, make sure when you pinch it together nice and tight, where we join those wires, we're going to have the right size. See, my top wires have moved a bit. They did keep bending out while I was weaving. So I'm just going to adjust them a little bit so that when they come together, they definitely hold that size. Right, keep going, we've nearly done all the tricky bits now. The next bit will be nice and it'll come together quite quickly anyway. So pull it together, take your wire around, why won't that focus? Take your wire around a couple of times. And then go around one of the wires a few times. We do that to the other end too. Cut that off at both ends and press down those little cut ends. Check your size against your mandrel, it should all fit on. We're going to position the stone. If you've got a pointy back, the point will press into the weave, so if you press into that weave first, it should go on a bit easier. If you've got a flat back, it should just sit nice against that weave. Press it in there. So press it in there. Try and get it nice and central. And then next we're going to take these 2 wires, so bring them together. If you can, hold your stone in there. If you don't, if it escapes, it's fine, leave it. I can pop it back in a moment. So make sure your weave is really pressed down. Grip those wires with your pliers. We're going to bend them over. I'm putting my finger to the back and I'm leaning back, so as I bring them over, that stays where I want it to be and the whole thing doesn't bend over. Do you know what I mean? So just the wires are coming over. And then we bring the wires over the stone. Push your weave back a bit if it's sneaked forward. You can, if you want to, give it a little squeeze just to press those wires down. Make sure your stone is nice and central. Make sure those wires come down centrally. And then holding that there in place, we're going to take these 2 wires out to the sides. So they have to come over the stone. These wires are going to be some of the only wires holding that stone down at the top there, so you want to really make sure they come over the stone there. They can't just be going over a tiny bit, that's what I mean. If they're just going over the edge, your stone could wriggle out. So make sure the wires are coming over the stone there, and we'll do the other side. Turn it around. I'm just going to see if I can push that weave down a little bit more. And then grip those wires. Again, I've put my finger to the back, so as I turn the pliers, I can press against that flat surface of my finger to bring the wires over. And then as you bring them down, mine have gone to the side a little bit. They need to go directly over the stone. Mine have gone to the side a little bit. Also give that a bit of a squeeze there. Those wires again come straight down, straight over the stone, and then holding that, we're going to take those wires out. Again, you've got to really keep these wires, keep that weave pushed back as well. These wires have to come across the stone. Only these 4 wires are holding that stone in place. So you've got 4 wires coming across the stone like that. So I'm going to take them out a little bit more, but not much. That's Gracie making all the noise. It's a hot day today. She does a lot of moaning in the heat. There. So that's what we want, and that's holding it down. So next, I think it's important to just stop at this point and just take a minute and look over everything. Is it all how you want it to be? My weaving wire here looks a little bit loose. So take a moment and just look over the whole thing. Are the wires right? Can I improve the shape? Am I happy with the shape? Is the stone going to escape? Oh, the little end's all pressed down. Just take a minute to look over it and get it right. It really does make a massive difference at the end. Like, some people rush through it and then they come back to me going, why doesn't mine look like yours? Because I really take my time. Really, I can't say it enough. Take your time. Stop. Bend the wire. Stop. Have a look. Is it bent how you want it to be? Do you know what I mean? Be fussy. Be fussy like me. So next, we're going to bring these wires around. A little bit at a time. But we're going to bring them around. And on the other side too. So I've got them in place over the stone. Then I'm going to look at bringing the wire around, and I'm holding that bit there so it doesn't move. So looking at this side, this lower wire is going to come around and it's going to go around the band. So carefully take the end of that wire and we're going to bring it around the band. Now this is going to have moved that wire, so we're going to have to reposition it. So then you need to just take another minute just to reposition that wire and get it to sit how you want it to. I've bent it a little bit. So I want it to come across the stone, scoop down and then go behind the band. And where it goes behind the band, I'm going to bring it up. the top wire comes around and it goes across the front of the band. Okay, so we go this side of that middle wire like that. So that one goes behind and this one comes in front. Okay, then we need to do that to the other side. So turn it around. Exactly the same thing. Look at your wires. Hold on, move that one up a little bit. So look at your wires, take the bottom one, and we know we're going to bend it out of shape a little bit, so just be careful. Try and bend the end more. And we take the end around the band. It will misshape it a little as you pull it round. So look at the position of it across the stone. Then carefully take it around the band, around the back. Try and match it to the other side. And then at the back it comes straight up. And make sure it covers the stone. And then it goes across the back like that. And then the top wire, whoop, that wire comes out, scoops over, and it goes over the front of the band to go here behind that wire. So we've got these two big loops on the sides. So now we need to match up the sides. So we need these loops on the side, these scoop shapes, to be the same on both sides. So take your time, look at your wire shapes and try and match them up. Are the scoops too wide? Are they too big? Are they too small? Do they pull the wire away from the stone? So you need to look at your stone and make sure the wire still comes across the stone. That wire comes across the stone a bit too much. And then just take a moment just to get your shapes symmetrical. So keep looking over it until you're happy with the shapes. Oh, I think this would look lovely in square wire, you know. So next, when you are happy with it, this wire on the right side, we're going to follow this wire. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over, so we come down, and we're going to scoop it around, which is the best way to go. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll bend it over first, we'll get it nice and flat, and then that way it'll give us more, it'll let us bend that wire a bit more. So I'm scooping the wire around, so I've bent it flat, I'm trying to hold the other wires in place, and I'm bringing this wire around, and if you go slow you can place it as it goes around. And we're going to scoop all the way around, so we meet this wire, then we come around, we meet that wire, and we follow that wire down. So now this one, we can finish this one sticking up here. We can take that around. I'm just going to bend that wire up so I can show you what I'm doing. I'll rescue that one in a moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this around the band behind these. Do you know what I mean? And I'm going to squeeze it around the band. I'm going to take it back around I'm going to squeeze the bottom so it's nice and flat against that band, and then I'm going to cut it short so that when I bend it over the top here, it finishes behind those two wires there. Oh, she's making a lot of noise. So those two wires come over the front and they kind of hide that. So we'll do the same to the other side. So turn it around. Hold on, I need to bend my wire back up. Again, before you move on, look over your wire shapes. So I'm going to bend that one flat like I did. And I'm going to bring it down. And then I'm going to scoop it around quite tight and slowly. So we meet the one wire, then we go around. I'm just going to pull it around with the pliers. It's a bit tighter. And then we come down to follow that wire. Just sit until you're happy, and if you get some marks on there, take your good old trusty nail buffer. You know those ones that have the harsher side and the smoother side? Sometimes they come in like a little square block. Try not to go over your weaving wire. This is just to get your tool marks out base wires. And then go on the softer side. We all get tool marks, that's normal. Better. Adjust it until you're happy. Still got a few marks on there. And we finish this wire. So bring it directly up. Bring these wires forward a little bit. Bring that wire straight over the front. Push it behind there. Give it a squeeze. Go around the band again. Straight up the back there. Give it a squeeze at the bottom so it's nice and tight around the band. Cut that short. Oh, I thought I'd cut those other wires then. Bend that over the front. And then those wires come over those wires. And we're nearly done. Hard to show you with all these wires sticking out, so make sure it's all nice and symmetrical. Squeeze it down if you need to. My loop was rising a bit, so I press that down there. And then we're going to finish these side wires. So what we'll do first, we'll just do a little weave across them to attach them together. So make sure they're how you want them to be and grab a bit of weaving wire. Weave across the two just to tie them together. So we'll go a few times around the bottom wire. Slide it along to there. We'll go a few times around both wires. And then a few times around the bottom wire. Push it together. Put that weaving wire at both ends. press those little cut ends down. Take the bottom wire, hold that in place, bring the bottom wire around the band. You want it to come straight down so it goes around nice and tight. And I'm going to finish that behind there so you can cut that quite short. Press it over, so we're finishing all those ends to the front so you haven't got any scratchy bits at the back. That's the last thing you want. And we'll do the same to the other side, so turn it around. So make sure your wires are kind of look the same. Do that little weave and cut off the ends. Take the bottom wire around and finish it as we did for the other side. Squash my band a bit, so get it around the mandrel and really squeeze it around. Make sure it's all circular. I'm going to finish these wires with just a tiny curl. Oh, don't have a spider on me or something. So we're going to finish these wires with just a tiny curl here. So bend the wire up a little bit and cut it off really short. I'll do that with the other side. And then we grip the tip, oops, and pull it around in a nice, tight, tiny little curl there, and tuck it right in nice. I'll do that with the other side too. Nice and tight there. Really pleased with that. I'll run and oxidise and I'll come back and show you. So there we have it, finished. I've oxidised mine. If you'd like help oxidising yours, I've done videos on oxidising and aftercare. Really pleased how that one's turned out. I'll put all those links in the description below. Hope you managed to follow this tutorial okay. And I will see you all very soon with the next one. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.